Hey guys, welcome back to the BS Coins Wood channel, where we talk about everything coins, from rare finds to valuable treasures hiding in plain sight. Today, we're talking about something that could seriously boost your collection, your wallet, or maybe even both. We're diving into one of the most fascinating pennies ever minted, the 2009 bicentennial Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Yep, you heard that right. A penny worth nearly $790,000. And trust me, this coin is not your average pocket change. So, if you're into coins and curious about which ones are actually worth a fortune, stick around. Now, let's set the stage with a little bit of history. In 2009, the U.S. Mint decided to honor the 200th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. As part of that celebration, they released a series of pennies featuring different stages of Lincoln's life. The Mint issued 4 different reverse designs, each representing a different chapter of Lincoln's journey. But there's a twist with one of those designs, and it involves a rare penny that's not just important for its historical value, but for its stunning market worth. This little beauty you see here is the 2009 bicentennial Abraham Lincoln penny. And while the coin itself may seem like a normal penny at first glance, there's one crucial detail that sets it apart from the rest: the absence of a mint mark. You see, most pennies from 2009, especially those issued in Philadelphia, have the P mint mark on them. But this one, the one we're looking at today, doesn't have any mint mark at all. And that's a big deal. Let me break it down for you. The 2009 bicentennial penny series featured 4 designs, each representing a significant phase in Lincoln's life. And finally, the one we're focusing on today, the reverse design that depicts Lincoln's humble log cabin, symbolizing his early life. Now, most of the coins in this series were produced with a mint mark, typically D for Denver and P for Philadelphia. However, a small number of these coins were released without any mint mark at all, and that is what makes this particular penny so special. The 2009 bicentennial penny without a mint mark is one of those mistakes or anomalies that collectors love to get their hands on. You've probably heard about mint errors, and this is a perfect example. Why? Because it's not supposed to happen. Coins without a mint mark from the Philadelphia Mint are extremely rare, which is what gives them their jaw-dropping value. Now, let's talk numbers. According to current estimates, this particular penny could fetch up to $790,000. You might be thinking, how in the world is a penny worth almost $1 million? Well, that's the magic of rare, mint condition, and historically significant coins. The rarity of the 2009 bicentennial penny with no mint mark is what drives its value so high, and the fact that it's in mint condition just makes it all the more desirable. Let's put that $790,000 into perspective. Back when the coin was first released, it didn't hold nearly that much value. But as time passed and collectors began to realize just how rare these coins were, the market value shot up. So, if you happen to find one of these in your change, you're sitting on a small fortune. And with the way the market for rare coins is growing, it's possible that the value could keep climbing. Why does the lack of a mint mark make such a big difference? The reason is simple. The mint mark, or lack thereof, tells you where the coin was made. Most coins from the Philadelphia Mint are marked with a P, but some coins, like these rare 2009 pennies, were accidentally struck without a mint mark. That error has made these coins highly coveted in the collecting world. Coin collectors, dealers, and investors have been keeping an eye on these 2009 bicentennial pennies for years. In fact, many of these coins are being sold at auctions for incredible amounts. And if you have one of these in your collection, you could be holding on to something that's just about to skyrocket in value. That's why it's important to not just throw your pennies into a jar, especially the ones that seem a little bit off, like this one. So how do you know if you've got one of these rare 2009 bicentennial pennies? The first step is to look closely at the reverse side for the missing mint mark. If there's no P or D anywhere on the coin, you're in luck. Next, make sure the coin is in great condition. No heavy scratches, no wear and tear. The more pristine the penny, the more valuable it becomes. If you find one of these rare coins, don't just go selling it to the first person who offers you a few bucks. You'll want to get it properly authenticated and graded by a professional. Grading is the process where experts evaluate the coin's condition, and it can significantly increase its value. Alright, let's wrap things up. The 2009 Bicentennial Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark is one of those hidden gems that any serious coin collector should be on the lookout for. With a potential market value of $790,000, this rare penny could change your financial situation, just like it has for so many other collectors out there. And hey, if you're lucky enough to find one, who knows? It might just be the jackpot you didn't know you were looking for. Remember, coins like these don't just sit around. They're out there waiting to be found. Keep your eyes peeled, check your change, and always be on the lookout for those rare treasures that could make you a small fortune. Who knows? You might just be the next person to find a penny worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more coin tips, and drop a comment below if you've ever found a coin that blew your mind. Catch you in the next one, and happy hunting! Hey there, coin collectors and treasure hunters. If you thought you needed a treasure map or an old pirate ship to strike it rich, think again. Today, I'm going to tell you all about a little coin that could make you a millionaire. And no, it's not buried in the sands of some forgotten island. It's right here in your pocket. I'm talking about the 1976 Abraham Lincoln penny with a D mint mark. This little copper gem is worth an eye-popping $859,000. And I'm not just throwing out random numbers, guys. We're talking about a legit coin with serious cash potential. So, stick around because we're going to dive into how this penny could end up in your hands, why it's worth so much, and how you can find one. Spoiler, it's all about luck, timing, and knowing what to look for. Grab your magnifying glass and let's get started. Cut to a close-up of the 1976 penny with zoomed-in shots of its features. Alright, before we get into the juicy stuff, how much it's worth and how you can get your hands on one, we need to talk about why this penny is worth so much. So, let's start with the basics. In 1976, the U.S. Mint decided to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, which is a big deal. They released a whole bunch of special coins, including a special version of the penny. You might remember it. It's got that big, bold 1776 to 1976 stamp on the reverse side. But here's the kicker. They didn't just mint these pennies in the usual way. Most of the 1976 pennies you'll come across are just your regular run-of-the-mill pennies, but a very small number came from the Denver Mint with an unusual error or feature. This is the coin we're after, the 1976 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark. And if you're wondering why it's worth so much, the answer lies in a combination of rarity, condition, and pure luck. Here's where it gets interesting, fellas. You see, over the years, some of these 1976 D pennies slipped through the cracks of the minting process. The result? Some of them ended up with very unique characteristics, such as die errors or misprints, that make them much more valuable than the standard pennies. Now, I know you're probably thinking, hey, I've seen those 1976 pennies in my pocket change before. Well, let me break it to you gently. Most of those pennies are worth a single cent, and maybe a little more if they're in good condition. But that rare one, the one that could make you a fortune, is extremely hard to find. We're talking about pennies that have almost perfect features, but with an imperfection that makes them special. You're digging through a pile of change at your local flea market. You've seen all the usual suspects: wheat pennies, modern-day junk, and maybe even a few state quarters. But then you spot it. It's a 1976 penny with a D mint mark, and it looks different. The shine is just a little bit brighter. The details are a little more crisp. Now, don't get too excited just yet. You've got to check it closely. Flip it over and look for any signs of error or unusual features. You might see a double die, a misstruck design, or some strange imperfections that could indicate you're holding something rare and valuable. So let me tell you a quick story about my own coin hunting adventures. A few years ago, I was at a garage sale. You know, the kind where people are trying to get rid of junk they don't need. Well, I came across a box of old pennies. Nothing too exciting at first glance, but I'm always looking for those rare finds, you know? I was about to walk away when I spotted a 1976 penny with a D mint mark. Now, I didn't get too excited at first because, let's be real, there are thousands of 1976 pennies floating around. But something about it caught my eye. It just looked off, in a good way. The edges were a little sharper than usual. The details stood out more than I'd expected. So, I did what any true collector would do. I grabbed it and checked it over like a hawk. It wasn't in perfect condition, but it had this one little feature, what looked like a minor die crack that made it unique. I took it to a coin expert, and guess what? That penny, in its condition, was valued at over $3,000. It wasn't the $859,000 value we're talking about today, but it was still a huge win for me, and a reminder of how much treasure can be hidden in plain sight. Alright, let's get to the good stuff. If you're serious about finding a 1976 D penny worth hundreds of thousands, here's what you need to know. The better the condition, the higher the value. These pennies are worth more when they're in excellent, uncirculated condition. So, keep an eye out for those that have been well preserved. This is where it gets fun. Look for die errors, double-struck coins, or unusual features like a shifted design. Anything that deviates from the standard minting process could increase the value. Most of the valuable 1976 D pennies come from a very small batch. You're not going to find these in every pocket change pile. They're rare and valuable because they're not just the regular 1976 D pennies. They have to stand out in some way, whether it's the die errors or some other unusual feature that makes them special. Now let's talk about why a coin like this can fetch nearly $1 million. We've already established how rare it is, but the market for rare coins can be unpredictable. The value of rare coins is driven by demand, rarity, condition, and, believe it or not, a bit of nostalgia. The 1976 penny commemorates the bicentennial of the United States, and that anniversary has always been a source of national pride. Collectors who are passionate about U.S. history and numismatics tend to keep a close eye on rare coins from this era. So, when one pops up for sale, it's not just coin collectors who want it. Investors, museums, and historical societies also want a piece of the action. If you're lucky enough to find one of these rare 1976 D pennies, the next step is deciding how to sell it. The first thing you'll want to do is get it authenticated. You don't want to end up selling a valuable coin for pennies, no pun intended, just because you didn't have it properly evaluated. You can take it to a professional appraiser or send it to one of the major grading services, like PCGS or NGC. Once you get the official grade, it'll be much easier to sell it for its full value. Alright, guys, now that we've gone through everything, I'm sure some of you are out there digging through your pockets or going through old coin collections, hoping to strike gold, or in this case, copper. Remember, it's all about keeping an eye out for those small details. It could be your lucky day, and that 1976 D penny you thought was just another old coin could end up being worth a small fortune. So, if you're new to coin collecting, or even if you've been doing this for years, there's always more to learn. Don't forget to check your change, and keep your eyes peeled for those hidden gems. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss out on more amazing coin finds and tips. And hey, if you've ever found a rare coin or have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear about your coin hunting stories. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your coin hunting. Who knows? You might just be sitting on your own $1 million penny. Hey there, fellow coin lovers. So imagine this. You're digging through your change jar, doing the usual. Maybe you're looking for something to take to the store or just killing time. Then, boom, you spot a 1969 Abraham Lincoln penny sitting right there. Now you might be thinking, it's just a penny. Nothing special. Well, buckle up, because that penny right there could be worth a whopping $597,000. No, seriously. Stay tuned, because today we're diving deep into the world of rare coins and why the 1969 Abraham Lincoln penny is worth more than your car. Let's get into it. Alright, before we start throwing around these big numbers, let's take a quick look at what makes this penny so valuable. First off, the 1969 Abraham Lincoln penny was minted at the Denver Mint. That D Mint mark is key. Now, you've probably seen hundreds of these in your time, but there's one specific feature that makes this coin rare, and I'm gonna tell you what it is. This coin, like the other Lincoln cents, features the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. That's the front of the coin, for you newbies. But what really sets this penny apart is the history and, of course, a few quirks in its production that make it valuable. More on that in a bit. Now, let's talk about that D Mint mark. You'll see it right there beneath Lincoln's shoulder. That D stands for Denver, the place where these pennies were struck. Now, there's something important here. Not every 1969 penny is worth a fortune. It's the D Mint mark that gives this penny its potential for a huge payout, and the specific condition of the coin can make all the difference. See how these pennies look similar, but this one's got the D? That tiny letter is the clue that tells us this was struck in Denver. But let me tell you, just finding a 1969 D doesn't mean you've struck gold. Nope, there's more to it than that. Here's where the story gets juicy. The reason the 1969 D penny can be worth $597,000 is because of something called a double die obverse, or DDO. This is where things get a little more technical, but don't worry, I'll break it down for you in simple terms. During the minting process, the die that stamps the design onto the coin was improperly aligned, and it caused the letters, numbers, and even parts of Lincoln's profile to appear doubled. That means you can see a kind of shadow effect, almost like the image is slightly offset. It's a mistake, but one that makes this penny super rare and highly valuable. Now, not all 1969 D pennies have this error. But if you're lucky enough to find one with that double die, you're looking at a potential six-figure payout. It's an accident that happened in the production process, but it's one that collectors are more than happy to pay big bucks for. Now, you're probably asking, how the heck do I know if I've got one of these rare DDO pennies? Don't worry, I've got you covered. Let's break it down. First, you're gonna want to look closely at the lettering on the obverse. Check out the word Liberty and the date 1969. The double die will cause these letters to appear like they're shadowed or doubled. You'll see a slight offset, like a ghost image. The most common places to spot the doubling are in the L in Liberty, the I in Liberty, and the 9 in the date. Another area to look for doubling is in Lincoln's hair and beard. If you spot a little extra doubling there, you're in the money. Now, before you start running to check your coin jar, remember this: condition matters. The value of a coin isn't just about whether or not it has the error, it also depends on its grade. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being perfect condition. So, if you find a 1969 DDO penny, but it's all beat up from being in your pocket for 50 years. It won't fetch anywhere near $597,000. A coin with a grade of MS65 or higher, mint state, will be worth significantly more. And to give you an idea, a penny in gem uncirculated condition could be pushing the high-end value. If you're just getting into coin collecting, finding a nice example could still be worth a solid amount of cash. Just remember, condition is key. Now, you might be wondering, why do people care so much about a little penny? I mean, it's just one cent, right? Well, rare coins like the 1969 DDO are highly sought after because they're part of a select group that holds historical significance and intrinsic value. Coin collectors are always on the lookout for these rare finds. But it's not just about having a rare coin. It's about owning a piece of history. And when collectors discover something like a 1969 DDO penny, it becomes a treasure that people are willing to pay top dollar for. So let's say you've found your very own 1969 D penny, and it has that double die error. You're probably wondering, how do I cash in on this bad boy? Get your coin professionally graded. This helps establish its authenticity and value. After that, you can sell it through various avenues, online auction sites like eBay, specialized coin dealers, or even at coin shows. Just make sure you do your research and get multiple appraisals to make sure you're getting the best price for your treasure. Alright guys, let's wrap it up. The 1969 D. Abraham Lincoln penny is one of those rare finds that could change your life if you happen to stumble upon it. Whether it's sitting in your change jar or tucked away in a drawer somewhere, you might just be sitting on a gold mine, or should I say, a copper mine. So what do you think? Do you have a 1969 D penny in your collection? If you do, take a closer look. It could be worth way more than you ever imagined. And if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with your friends. Who knows? Maybe they've got one of these rare coins sitting around too. Hey there, fellow coin enthusiasts. If you're tuning in today, you're in for a wild ride. Now, I know many of you guys have been collecting coins for years. You've sifted through your grandfather's old boxes of pennies, maybe even checked your pocket change a few times, and you're thinking, what if I have a hidden treasure here? Well, what if I told you that a 2014 D. Abraham Lincoln penny could be worth nearly $900,000? No, that's not a typo. Almost $1 million for a penny. Now, I can already hear some of you laughing or thinking, no way, it's just a penny. But trust me, you're going to want to stick around for this one. In the next 30 minutes, we're going to break down how this coin, which might be sitting in your pocket or collection right now, could be worth an absolute fortune. I've got a personal story to share that'll really put this all into perspective, and by the end of the video, you'll know exactly how to spot a coin that could change your life. So, grab that cup of coffee, or something stronger if you're having one of those days, and let's dive into the world of coin collecting. But first, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss another money-making tip. Alright, let's get started. Now, before we start talking about the wild stuff, how a simple penny can be worth close to $900,000, let's take a step back and look at the basics of the 2014 D. Abraham Lincoln penny. As you probably already know, pennies are the most common coin in circulation. The 2014 D penny was produced at the Denver Mint, and it carries the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. That's the front side, for those of you who don't speak coin collector. On the reverse, you'll find the Union Shield design, a symbol of the United States, representing the country's strength and unity. So far, so normal, right? Nothing fancy. But hold on, here's where things start to get interesting. There's a very specific reason why some 2014 D pennies are worth so much, and it has everything to do with something rare that happened during its production. To understand this, let me tell you a quick story. About 5 years ago, I was at a local coin shop, just a regular stop for a regular guy like me. The shop owner, a gruff old man named Dave, handed me a box full of pennies. "Take a look," he said. "I think I've got a few that might be worth your time." Now, I wasn't expecting much, but I did it anyway. I flipped through the box and nothing jumped out at me until I spotted a 2014 penny. The year didn't ring any bells, but something felt different about the coin. It didn't look brand new, but it also didn't show signs of age or wear. I tossed it into my maybe pile and kept going. Turns out that was a mistake. You see, sometimes a coin looks like it's not worth much at first glance, but it holds a hidden secret. I didn't know it at the time, but that 2014 D penny was one of those rare specimens. And in a few minutes, you'll understand why. But that day, I walked away without realizing I had just passed on a rare find. Now let's dive into why the 2014 D penny could be worth close to $1 million. At first glance, the 2014 D penny looks just like every other penny from the same year. But there's a key factor that could make certain ones extremely rare and valuable, and it's all about the minting process. You see, sometimes, due to issues with the dies or other parts of the minting process, certain pennies can come out with rare flaws. The 2014 D penny's value is driven by a specific error called the D die break. If you take a close look at the D mint mark on some of these coins, you'll notice that it's not just a normal mint mark, it's been partially struck or appears to have some kind of distortion. This happens when there's a crack in the die at the minting facility. The die's crack causes the mint mark to appear less than perfect, making the coin unique. This specific error is extremely rare and hard to find. To make matters even more interesting, some of these pennies with the D die break are also in near mint condition, adding even more to their value. If you can find one of these errors in perfect condition, you could have a coin worth hundreds of thousands, or even close to $1 million. Now that you know what makes the 2014 D penny special, let's talk about how to spot one in your own collection or in your pocket change. First, you're going to want to closely examine the D mint mark. If it appears to have a small crack, a distorted edge, or if it looks like it's been double struck, you might just have a winner on your hands. Next, look at the overall condition of the penny. Coins that are in mint condition, without too much wear and tear, are always more valuable, especially if there's a rare error involved. If the penny is shiny, with minimal scratches and dings, you could be looking at a potential windfall. And finally, keep an eye on your local coin dealers. Sometimes they'll have special editions or rare finds sitting in their displays that they haven't fully identified. You never know when you could find a 2014 D penny that's worth nearly $1 million sitting on the shelf. Alright, fellas, by now you should have a pretty good idea of why that humble 2014 D penny might be worth a small fortune. We've covered the basics, the minting process, the D die break, and how to spot these rare pennies. But remember, coin collecting isn't always about striking gold. It's about the thrill of the hunt. Who knows, the next time you're checking your pocket change or going through your coin collection, you might just discover a hidden treasure that could change your life. Before I wrap up, let me say this: coin collecting is about more than just money. It's about the stories behind each coin, the history they hold, and the satisfaction of finding something rare and valuable. It's the kind of hobby that's perfect for guys like us, whether you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, or beyond. The hunt never stops, and every coin has a story to tell. So, make sure you're checking those pennies. Keep your eyes peeled, and who knows? You might just be sitting on a gold mine without even knowing it. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment with your best coin finding story, and share this video with your buddies. Who knows? Maybe one of them has a 2014 D penny worth a fortune tucked away in a drawer. Hey there, coin collectors and treasure hunters. Welcome back to the Bees Coins channel. I've got something special for you today. If you think that pennies are just small change, think again. Today, we're diving into a particular penny that could make you a lot of change, talking about a 1993 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Hold on to your hats because this penny is worth a jaw-dropping $769,000. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, wait, pennies? How could they be worth that much? Well, stick around because I'm going to explain how a penny that's not much older than some of us can pack a punch in the market. But before we get started, let me tell you a little personal story. You know, it wasn't long ago when I stumbled across a bin of old pennies at a garage sale. There I was, sifting through a bunch of old, dirty pennies, wondering if any of them were worth something. I was half expecting to find maybe a few rare dates or mint marks. But guess what? I found a 1993 penny. No mint mark. At first, I almost tossed it back into the pile, but then I remembered hearing about the rare 1993 no mint mark penny. I pocketed it, took it home, and started doing some research. And here I am today, excited to share with you the incredible value of that penny, and how it could change the way you look at coins.so. What makes the 1993 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark so valuable? To answer that, we first need to understand the basics of how U.S. pennies are made and why a mint mark, or the lack of one, could have a big impact on its value. Most coins that are produced by the U.S. Mint have a mint mark. You know, the D for Denver or S for San Francisco. The mint mark shows where the coin was made. But in 1993, there were some pennies made in Philadelphia without a mint mark, and they ended up being extremely rare. You see, pennies produced in Philadelphia typically have no mint mark. But it turns out, during 1993, a batch of pennies was struck with no mint mark, but they weren't supposed to be. There was a mistake in the process. They were supposed to have a D mint mark or even the possibility of an S, but they ended up being without any mint mark at all. Now, this is where it gets interesting. A coin's value often comes from its rarity. And when you have something rare, like a mistake penny, people are willing to pay big bucks for it. The 1993 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark is considered one of the most coveted modern-era coins because of its rarity and the high demand for it. In fact, this penny has been known to fetch upwards of $769,000 at auctions and private sales. Yes, you read that right, $769,000. The reason? Well, there are very few known to exist. The combination of being from a highly circulated year and having the minting error means collectors are scrambling to get their hands on one. And when it comes to rarities like this, the price can skyrocket. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, how can I tell if I have one of these valuable pennies? It's not always as easy as you might think. There are a few things to look for. First off, check the date on your penny. It should be 1993, of course. Then, look at the reverse side of the coin, specifically where the mint mark would normally be. If there's no mint mark, and it's a 1993 penny, chances are you've found a gem. But before you get too excited, not every 1993 penny is valuable. Condition plays a huge role in its worth. Pennies that are in excellent condition, almost uncirculated, can fetch the highest prices. If it's been sitting in a jar or getting bounced around in your pocket, it might not be worth quite as much. Let's say you've got a 1993 penny that you're convinced is the real deal. How do you get it appraised? Well, your best bet is to take it to a professional coin dealer or appraiser. They can evaluate the condition, the authenticity, and confirm whether it's a true error coin. Don't just rely on online listings. A coin's value can fluctuate, and a trusted appraiser will give you a more accurate price. When you bring it to an appraiser, make sure it's well protected. You don't want any fingerprints or scratches that could lower its value. Handle it carefully, keep it in a protective case, and treat it like the treasure it is, let's talk about the market for rare coins, like this 1993 no-mint mark penny. The coin market is a unique beast, and values can fluctuate depending on demand, the economy, and even trends in the collector world. One thing is certain: rare, mistake coins like this one tend to hold their value over time. If you look at similar coins from past years, like the 1943 copper penny or the 1955 double die penny, you'll see they've appreciated significantly. And the 1993 no-mint mark penny seems to be following that trend. But just because a penny can fetch hundreds of thousands of dollars doesn't mean it's easy to find one. So, what's the takeaway from all this? The 1993 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark is a serious contender in the world of rare coins. It's proof that sometimes the things you least expect, like an overlooked penny, can turn into something extraordinary. If you're out there collecting coins, remember, sometimes it's not the shiny new coins that are worth the most. A little wear and tear, a small minting error, and a lot of history can turn a simple penny into a small fortune. If you've got a 1993 penny lying around, or if you're at a coin shop or garage sale, it's worth taking a second look. Who knows? You might just have a rare piece of American history in your pocket, worth more than you think. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more coin content, and leave me a comment below if you've ever found a coin that made you do a double take. Maybe your next treasure is just a penny away. Hey there, coin enthusiasts! Let me ask you something. When was the last time you dug through your change jar or wallet, searching for that one special coin that could change your life? Most people would overlook a single penny. But what if I told you that one particular penny from 1980 could be worth a mind-blowing $869,000? Yeah, you heard that right. Nearly $1 million for a tiny copper coin. Stick around because in this video, we're going to dive into everything you need to know about this rare gem, including why it's worth so much, how to spot one in your collection, and how you can turn that pocket change into a small fortune. You don't want to miss this. You know, I never thought much about pennies. I mean, who does, right? They're the coins we toss aside, toss into the jar, or just let pile up in the car. But a few years ago, I came across an article that made me look at pennies in a whole new way, especially the 1980 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. I remember thinking, no way! A penny worth that much? It was like a light bulb moment, and ever since, I've been on a mission to get the word out about these hidden treasures. Before we get started, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss another gem like this. Trust me, you're going to want to keep learning about coins that can make you money. Alright, let's start with the basics. What makes the 1980 Abraham Lincoln penny so valuable? It's not because of how many were minted or some crazy historical story behind it. In fact, the 1980 penny is fairly common, and many of them are still out there in circulation. So why on earth is one of them worth $869,000? For most coins, the mint mark tells you where they were produced, whether it's in Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, D, or San Francisco, S. In 1980, coins minted in Philadelphia should have a no mint mark, meaning there was no letter stamped on the coin at all. Some of the 1980 pennies have a unique feature. There's no mint mark, but they were still struck in a way that creates a rare variety. These pennies were supposed to have the mint mark for Philadelphia, but due to an error, they were released without one, making them incredibly scarce and valuable to collectors. Now, let's get into the fun stuff. How do you spot one of these rare 1980 pennies in your collection? Well, it's all about the details. First, look closely at the front of the coin, where Abraham Lincoln's portrait is. The 1980 pennies from Philadelphia should have a clear date, and if you don't see a mint mark below the year, bingo, you might be holding a gold mine. But here's the thing, Not every 1980 penny without a mint mark is worth $869,000. The condition of the coin plays a huge role in determining its value. Coins that are in mint condition, with no wear, scratches, or discoloration, are the ones that get top dollar. So, if you find one that looks brand new, you could be in luck. Speaking of condition, let's talk about grading. Coin collectors use a grading scale to determine how much a coin is worth. It's a pretty detailed process, but for our purposes, we're going to focus on a few key grades that will make or break the value of your 1980 penny. If your penny looks almost brand new, it might fall into this category. These coins may have a few small imperfections, but still retain much of their original shine. The better the condition, the more valuable it is. At this level, the coin has very few marks, and its details are sharp and clear. A coin in this range could be worth a lot of money, but if you find one in near perfect condition, you're sitting on a real treasure. A coin in this condition is about as close to perfection as you can get. If you find a 1980 penny that's graded MS66 or higher, you've hit the jackpot, and that's where the $869,000 value comes into play. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, I found one, now what? Well, first things first, get it graded by a professional. You can send your coin to companies like PCGS or NGC for an official grade. Don't skimp on this step, because the value of your penny could skyrocket with the right certification. Once you've got your coin graded, it's time to think about selling it. If your penny is worth six figures, you might want to consider selling it through an auction house like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers. These places specialize in rare coins and can help you get the best price. Websites like eBay are another option for selling, but keep in mind that you'll want to find a reputable buyer. Be sure to take high-quality photos of your penny to showcase its condition. If you're looking for a quicker sale, you can approach a coin dealer directly. They'll typically offer you a fair price based on the current market value, but don't expect to get quite as much as you would in an auction setting. Now, let's dive into why the 1980 Lincoln penny has become such a hot commodity in recent years. As we all know, the world of coin collecting is constantly evolving. While there's always been demand for older and rarer coins, more and more people are starting to take notice of these forgotten errors from the 1980s. The price of gold and silver continues to rise. People are looking for alternative ways to invest their money. Coins like the 1980 no-mint mark penny are a safe bet because their value isn't tied to the price of metals. They're valuable because of their rarity. What's even better is that there aren't many of these pennies out there, and many of the ones that were in circulation have already been worn down or lost. This means the ones that remain in excellent condition are becoming harder and harder to find, which only adds to their value. Another thing that makes the 1980 penny special is the enduring popularity of the Lincoln penny. Abraham Lincoln is one of the most iconic figures in American history, and his image has graced the penny since 1909. The Lincoln penny, with its tribute to the 16th president, has always been a collector's favorite, and as time passes, the demand for unique versions, like the 1980 no-mint mark, continues to grow. A 1980 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark could be worth a whopping $869,000 if it's in the right condition. Now, before you run off and start flipping through your pocket change, remember that this is a rare find, and most pennies you come across won't be worth nearly as much. But you never know. Every collection has its surprises, and yours might just be hiding a small fortune. If you've got a coin collection lying around, take a second look at those 1980 pennies. You could have an untapped treasure on your hands. And if you're just starting your collection, keep an eye out for rare and rare coins. They might not seem like much at first, but they can lead to some serious cash. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your fellow coin collectors. Let's keep this treasure hunt going. And hey, if you've ever found a coin worth a lot of money, I want to hear about it in the comments below. Maybe you've got a hidden gem of your own. Alright guys, let me ask you a quick question. How many of you have a coin collection? Or maybe you've just got a jar full of old pennies lying around. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Oh, they're just pennies. They're not worth much. But hold on a second. What if I told you that one of those pennies, the 1967 Lincoln penny, could actually be worth $679,000? Yeah, you heard that right. That's not a typo. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most valuable pennies ever, the 1967 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll be looking at your pennies in a whole new way. Stick around, this one's gonna blow your mind. Cut to you holding a 1967 penny in your hand. Let's rewind a bit, back to 1967. The world was going through some major changes. The summer of love was in full swing, the Vietnam War was raging, and the US was facing some serious inflation. But while all of that was happening, the US Mint was quietly churning out millions of pennies, just like they did every year. So why are we talking about the 1967 penny today? Well, here's the kicker. It's not the usual penny. This one's special. It's a penny that shouldn't even exist. You see, most of the 1967 pennies had a mint mark, which indicated where they were made. But this particular penny, the no mint mark 1967, didn't follow the rules. Cut to a close-up of a regular 1967 penny with a mint mark and a comparison with the no mint mark version. In 1967, something strange happened. The Philadelphia Mint, which typically produced pennies, forgot, or rather, didn't include, the mint mark on some of the pennies. Why? Well, that's part of the mystery. The official explanation has always been that it was just an error. A simple mistake that slipped through the cracks. But whatever the reason, it wasn't until years later that collectors started to catch on and realize something big. These no mint mark pennies were rare and could be worth a fortune. Cut to a shot of you in front of a stack of pennies, holding a magnifying glass. Now, I know what you're thinking. A penny? Worth $679,000? No way. It sounds insane, right? But here's the thing. What makes this particular 1967 penny so valuable isn't just the year or the lack of a mint mark. It's the rarity of it. Out of the billions of pennies minted, only a few of these no mint mark pennies have ever been found. And when they're found, they are snapped up by collectors quicker than you can say change jar. Cut to a shot of an online auction showing the penny being sold for a large sum. How did this penny go from being just another piece of pocket change to a $679,000 treasure? Well, it's all about the condition, the rarity, and the fact that it's a mistake. And collectors love mistakes. You see, errors in minting are extremely sought after. It's like finding a diamond in the rough. And the rarer the error, the more valuable the coin becomes. The no mint mark 1967 penny is one of those rare mistakes that collectors will pay top dollar for. Cut to a close-up of you showing the 1967 penny under a magnifying glass. Alright guys, let's talk about how you can spot one of these pennies. First, you need to make sure that it's actually a 1967 penny. Obviously, right? But here's where it gets interesting. Most of the 1967 pennies have a mint mark, and you can find it right under the date. But with the rare no mint mark version, you're not going to see that letter D or S like you would on most other pennies from that year. It's just blank. Cut to a side-by-side comparison of a regular 1967 penny with a mint mark and a 1967 no mint mark penny. Check the back of the coin too. You'll still see the usual design, Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. But the real key is that absence of a mint mark. The 1967 no-mint mark penny is that simple, but that rare. If you've got one of these in your collection, or even buried somewhere in a drawer, make sure you take a good look at it. The hunt for rare coins cut to footage of a coin collector's home or office, showcasing various rare coins. Now, some of you might be wondering, how do I even find these coins? Well, let me tell you, finding rare coins is a bit like going on a treasure hunt. Sure, you can check through your spare change, but the real gold is often found in places you wouldn't expect. Yard sales, estate sales, thrift stores, or even just asking people if they've got any old coins lying around can lead to some amazing finds. Cut to footage of someone flipping through rolls of pennies at a coin store. It's not easy to find a penny worth $679,000 just lying around. But you've got to keep your eyes peeled. And when you do find one, it could be the jackpot. I've heard countless stories of people finding rare coins, like the 1967 no-mint mark penny, and having their lives changed overnight. The value of coin collecting cut to you sitting at a desk with a coin catalog open. Coin collecting isn't just about finding rare coins. It's about the thrill of the hunt, the appreciation for history, and the excitement of discovering something valuable that might have slipped under the radar. And that's why coin collecting is such a popular hobby for so many people, especially for those of you watching this video. Whether you're just getting started or you've been collecting for years, knowing what coins are worth checking for can really help you out in the long run. If you're a coin collector, or even just someone who's got a handful of old pennies lying around, make sure you keep an eye out for the 1967 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. It could be worth up to $679,000. And who knows, maybe you'll be the next lucky person to find one. Coin collecting can be a fun hobby, and who knows, it might even change your financial future. Cut to a shot of you putting the 1967 penny into a protective case. Alright, if you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about coins that could make you rich, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss out on future videos. And hey, if you find a coin that could be worth a fortune, drop me a comment or send me a message. I want to hear your stories.